Right, so after being with Sonubaits for what? Probably 2 years now, I definitely feel I've had plenty of time to have a play with the vast majority, in particular the commercial range of products that we do. And I thought it'd just be a nice time to sort of tell you my thoughts on things. Do you know what I mean? I'm definitely not one for 1 second giving you this is the best ground bait in the world, use this, it does everything. For all my fishing, whatever it may be, I'm all about the finer details and understanding why things are right. I mean, whether it's using pellets, using certain rigs, whatever else, everything needs to be done in the best way possible to create what I'm trying to achieve in whatever situation. And it's only through talking to the likes of Ian, the gaffer at Sonubaits, or Jakey, that I've gained a much better understanding of the ingredients used in ground baits, just to make them work in whatever ways we need them to. I mean, yes, there's all the aspect of whatever flavours there are for what fish like and all that sort of thing. But when it comes to commercial ground baits, really simple. It comes down to pellet mixes. You know what I mean? When you want to keep it really nice, and in particular, the commercial range I'm going to show you today, which are my 4, I'm going to say ground baits that I use for 100% of my commercial fishing, other than my silverfish fishing in the winter, but that's a whole nother video on its own. But for when it comes to actual normal F1 and carp fishing, a little bit of skimmer fishing, these 4, I don't need anything else. I keep things really simple. And I just want to go through what each one, sort of what it does, what I need it to do, in the ways that I mix it to make it do what I'm trying to achieve, if I'm not waffling too much. So what I'm going to start with, I'll start with the delicate. I'm going to start with delicate and go to the carnage at the end. And definitely my go-to mix has been all winter, has been my Super Crush Expander. And I'm going to sort of tell you where I went wrong with this one as well, because I believe that Super Crush Expander for quite a while was the only ground bait that'll do for everything when it came to F1 fishing or skimmer fishing. Skimmer fishing in particular during the colder months, it was my #1, but I was actually using it wrong. You know what I mean? Super Crush, as it says, Crushed Expander is Super Crush Crushed Expander. That's what it is. It is literally completely 100% crushed expander pellets, proper posh premium expander pellets. And because of that, you know what I mean, it is perfect for use in the right way. I mean, it's brilliant when you're fishing in shallow water, which is probably the biggest emphasis, when you're not wanting a big bed on the bottom. You know what I mean? When I want my bait to get down to the bottom, create lots of cloud, be wafting all over the place, you know what I mean, attracting fish in, that's where Super Crush Expander comes in. You know what I mean? Brilliant for getting stockies into my peg, brilliant for feeding utter minimal amounts of bait during the winter for skimmers. You know what I mean? Absolutely brilliant. And that's definitely been me probably most popular ground bait that I've used mostly over the last couple of years. But that said, it was only through a conversation with Jake before the winter, let's say middle of last year. And what I was finding is my ground bait wasn't getting down. It wasn't doing what I wanted to do when I was going to deeper venues or when I needed to feed more bait. And it's because of the lack of binding agents. I mean, because it wouldn't hold as tight as I wanted it to get down to the bottom in deeper water or to stay in place better, I needed to change my ground bait. And that is where F1 Original come in. You know what I mean? On a flip side to what everyone thinks, it's just a different colour to the F1 Dark, which is ridiculously popular. It's actually not. You know what I mean? It is a ground bait all on its own, F1 Original. And what that consists of is, yet again, massive, what are we going to say, the biggest amount of the ground bait, or the biggest, what percentage of it is crushed pellets again. I mean, crushed expanders form the base of pretty much every ground bait that we do, yet with no cheap, nasty bulking ingredients that lots of other companies use. No nasties in any of these. They're all posh, high-quality pellets that are used in every single one. But when it came to the F1 Original, what that gave me was, I think it's about 80%. I think it's about 80% crushed expander, maybe slightly less, with other pellets involved as well. Some coarse pellets, a few attractants, a few boosters in it as well. But what it did, it gave the crushed expander, the Super Crush, it was what that was missing. So it gave me a binding property to that ground bait by swapping to the Sweet F1, the original stuff, the brown stuff. It's pretty much, what am I going to call it? It's stodgy Super Crush Expander. You know what I mean? It's Super Crush Expander that binds. So far better for if I want it to get down. Places like Meadowlands, towy places like Mescar, Barston, lots of places I go to, where I need my ground bait to stay in place a little bit. That was really important. It got my bait to where I wanted it, and it kept it there, rather than it going to nothing and creating a lovely cloud like the Expander does. The F1 Original definitely gets my ground bait down to the bottom for when I want that sort of situation. Yep, so they're the silvery F1-y deepy water ground baits covered. When it came to carp fishing in the winter, in the summer, then things changed again. I mean, I'm a big fan, again, Super Crush, very similar to the Super Crush Expander when it comes to Super Crush Power Scope X. Very similar, but the added ingredient to this one, again, you're around 70 to 80% expanders, but the added pellets to this one were, what are we going to call them? more high attractants, more oily, more halibut type pellet sort of thing added to it, more binding again. I mean, everything's more, I'm saying more a lot, more potent, everything. Sort of trout pellety, halibut pellet, all those sorts of things added to, again, that base mix of crushed expanders that gave me a fairly fluffy groundbait that wasn't too heavy. I mean, it's still nice and fluffy, and I'm prepared to feed it sort of up to about 3.5 foot. It does lose that binding agent that you may need for in deeper water, but 3.5 foot when it came to carp fishing, that would be my next favourite. I mean, I want a heavy groundbait that stays there fairly well, but at the same time, I've got a little bit of attractants, a bit of cloud, but with the ingredients that I need to keep them fish coming. So, lastly, with that done, maybe I needed something even more heavy. Yeah, and by that I mean for really, really shallow edges that hopefully we'll be fishing soon, mud lines, and something ridiculously strong smelling and potent. And that was last year's edition that we actually brought out. How long's that been out now, Jake? 18 months? Not been out too long, has it? But the thingy, the marine version of the Match Method mix, it does what it pretty much says on the tin. Really, really heavy, really potent. I think it's only about 50% of expander in that one, with lots and lots of halibut pellets, trout pellets, loads of attractants and boosters, zero bulking agents at all. I mean, no bread, no biscuit, no rubbish in it. It's flipping as strong as it could possibly be when it comes to ground baits, and because of that, massively, massively heavy, well binding. I can make it sink like a flipping brick, and it actually gets that level once you get to the Match Method mix. It's got that many binding agents in it, you can actually use that at paste as well, whereas the other ground baits you wouldn't be able to do that. So really, really simple when you think about it. What I'm after is, in each situation, is thinking about the strength of the ground bait I need to pull fish in. I mean, if I need, in the summer months, they want loads of bait, I'll go really strong. In the winter, the opposite. But also the weight of the ground bait and its binding properties. Yeah, the stickier the ground bait is, the better it'll stay in place when the fish are in your peg. But in turn, you may need it to be a bit fluffier on the opposite end of the scale to attract fish in. So hopefully I haven't waffled too much on that case, but that's my thinking behind the ground baits. As usual, I keep things as simple as possible, and everything I do has a reason for it. So hopefully I pass that on to you lot without confusing everyone.